This is the truth code explaining the word Aryan, or trying to explain the word Aryan. If you do a search, you'll find that the explanation for the word Aryan is noble. Well, there are a few categories of mythic imagery going back to the time when people started to paint or carve images in the caves, on stones, on bones, probably on themselves, tens of thousands of years ago. There are people, animals, animal-people hybrids, in other words, gods, celestial objects and events, plants such as trees and flowers, geometric figures and numbers, and probably a couple other categories that I don't have there. And if the answer to the question of a mythic image doesn't fit in any of those categories, then it's probably wrong. And I think that's the case of the word noble, meaning Aryan. Now, the geometric figure in the artwork associated with Aryans is the swastika, the static horizontal and vertical lines, and the dynamic lines at a 45-degree angle. And this is said to be a solar image, so it's my guess that the solar, or the sun, has something to do with the word Aryan. And the "an" part of this word refers to land, and the "ian" or "yan" refers to an area of land, as in Afghanistan and so forth. It also refers to the word man, which is made up of the "an" sound referring to land. So the question is, what does ARA mean? And I think that any ARA, ORA, or RA sound has to do with the sun. It's right there. And as it turns out, the second position of the sun in the Egyptian pantheon is Ra. And out of the sun come rays. And we orient ourselves to the east where the sun rises over the horizon. And the color of the sun in that position is orange, and it's also gold. And the Latin word for gold is aurum. This all connects. And also it's reddish like a rose, and rust. These things are all connected. And you see a lot of the imagery of the Aryans on their chariots shooting arrows into the air. They are archers. And here you have the morphing of the original man and Mars image into this with an arrow going to the upper right. And unfortunately, this kind of refers to the Nazi salute, to the arm to the upper right. This is centric and balanced. This is eccentric and imbalanced. This is an image of the ego-passive Eastern ancient animist mindset. This is an image of the ego-active Western dominating mindset. I think this refers to this grid, which the ancients were well aware of, and it comes through in our notion of geometry with the XY coordinate. The upper right is plus plus, the lower left minus minus, and this is obviously favoring one of the positions out of the four. Again, this is ego active, expressing a preference rather than accepting that which exists. I think this is characteristic of our culture, which does go back to the quote-unquote Aryans, and probably in general just a whole mindset, different mindset that developed, not particular to these people, but in general, but carried definitely by these people where they traveled. And I think these were the people who went into China and built all the pyramids that the Chinese now are trying to cover up with dirt and trees. This may also have some contribution to the mystery of King Arthur, who he was and what he represented as a mythic image. And the point in all of this is, if there is a question, a mystery about a mythic image, you can go to the geometric figures for information leading to somewhat of an understanding, if not an outright understanding. I hope you enjoyed this video.